Welcome to Taking Care, the show for parents who have realized that taking the best care of a child with a rare disease means taking care of themselves too. Every episode of this show has been designed just for you. Each episode is short. I'm going to share with you practical tips and strategies that you can start to use right away, because I love that you're watching, but I want you to take action too. Hi there. Today we're going to talk about panic attacks and what you can do to help yourself if you ever experience one. So let's start by identifying what is a panic attack. All of us have felt fear in our everyday lives, and a good proportion of us may deal with anxiety on a day-to-day basis. It's something that we have to cope with. A panic attack is very different from either of these experiences. A panic attack occurs suddenly and feels like a true medical emergency. Many millions of people every year visit their doctors and emergency departments thinking that they're having a heart attack or some other major medical event, only to be told that what they're experiencing is in fact a panic attack. That's how real it feels. People who have panic attacks describe feeling that their heart is racing so fast, faster than exercise has ever made it race before. They describe feeling that they simply can't get a full breath of air, that they're gasping or gulping, trying to catch their breath, but they simply can't. A panic attack can make people feel dizzy, lightheaded, like they're going to faint. Panic attacks generally cause people to feel sweaty. And most importantly, there's this just overwhelming general sense of dread, the feeling that something terrible and wrong is happening or is about to happen. Now, if you're one of the 11% of people who every year experience a panic attack, what's most important for you to know is that a panic attack cannot kill you. This is something that I discuss with my counseling clients quite frequently if they've ever had a panic attack. Most people believe that what they're experiencing must be strong enough to stop their heart or cause them to lose consciousness or have a seizure, when the truth is that none of these things are possible just simply from a panic attack. So it's important to know and to tell yourself that what I'm feeling right now is real and is uncomfortable, but it does not actually have the power to hurt me. I simply need to get through it. And that's actually going to be our first tip, because I think a lot of our tendency is to try to distract ourselves from things that are uncomfortable. This tends to backfire if we try to do this with a panic attack. It's much more helpful to be able to name what is happening. So to say, okay, I'm having a panic attack. My heart is racing. My palms are sweaty. I feel like I can't stand up anymore, and so I'm going to sit down. And be able to tell ourselves what's happening and to say, this feels really bad. I feel like something must be wrong. But because I know that this is a panic attack, I know that the best thing to do is to wait it out. Some people feel really helped if they assign a number to how distressed they feel in the moment, right? So to say, okay, on a scale from 1 to 10, right now my panic has me feeling like I'm at an 8. So it's pretty bad. It's definitely something wrong, but I'm not all the way up to a 10, right? And if you want to take it a step further, you can even name for yourself, well, I'm not at a 10 because I don't feel like I'm losing consciousness, right? I don't feel like I'm so dizzy that I'm going to faint. If I were feeling those things, I would be at a 10, but because I'm not, I'm only at an 8. When we make things really observational and data-driven, it tends to take the fear out of the experience. So that's our first tip. What I want you to do is just be very observational, almost like you're a scientist describing what is happening to someone else, and just speak to explicitly the facts, right? Don't get caught up in the what ifs that your brain is trying to tell you to think through. Don't think about all the horrible things that could happen. Just stay focused on what is happening in the present moment. Now, another tip that's really helpful if you are experiencing a panic attack, it's an old movie trope. You've probably seen it a dozen times and thought, why is that person doing that? It's splashing cold water on your face. We always see people do this in the movies and probably think nobody actually does that in real life. Well, the truth is there's some really great research that shows us that the effect of very cold water, we're talking ice cold, on your face has the effect of lowering your heart rate by anywhere from 20 to 25 beats per minute, which is significant. So if you're feeling that heart racing experience and you need to make it stop, cold water on the face. is one of the best tips we have for doing that. My third tip, if you're experiencing a panic attack, is I want you to halt. That stands for HALT, which is to check in with yourself and see if you are hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. We know that these are 4 feelings that tend to precipitate panic attacks. So if you feel some of the initial signs of a panic attack, do a really quick check of yourself. When was the last time that I ate something, right? If you recognize that this could be hunger-based, go ahead and eat something. Am I angry about something? Do I need to process some anger or sadness, something that's going on for me? Let's find an effective way to do that, right? Am I tired? Do I maybe simply need to lie down and take a break? So checking in with the HALT and finding a fix for if any of those things feel like they are an unmet need for you. And so the last tip that I'm going to give you is more lifestyle management, right? So if you have a panic attack and you're concerned that you might have another one, it's really common for people to start to limit their activities and their experiences, right? They're afraid they're going to have another panic attack in the same place. They're afraid they're going to have a panic attack at a place that would be really embarrassing to have a panic attack. And so they stop going to those places and they stop doing the things that matter to them. I want to encourage you to not do that, right? Because that only serves to increase the fear of the thing, of experiencing a panic attack. It's much better to be able to say to yourself, I've been through this before. I very likely may experience a panic attack again in my life. I know what are the things to do to help myself through it. And I'm taking critical lifestyle steps to prevent panic attacks in the future. And so what are those lifestyle measures that I want you to take? First of all, avoiding excessive amounts of caffeine. 1 to 2 cups a day would be the max that we would want you to have if you're a person who has panic attacks. Likewise, avoiding alcohol and other drugs. The effect that these have on your nervous system definitely makes you likely to experience panic attacks, and we want to avoid that. Making sure that you're getting sufficient exercise. I like to say to my counseling clients that if your body's moving, anxiety and panic have a hard time catching up. And it's really true. The more active that we are, the less likely that we are to experience either anxiety or panic. And finally, I want you to practice that present moment awareness that we talked about, right? That ability to name exactly what is happening in each moment. There are lots of ways that you can do this. There are a ton of great apps and YouTube videos that can guide you through mindfulness meditations. Another thing you can do is just practice simple grounding exercises. Take notice of something in your environment. I've got a tic-tac-toe set right here. So I can take a look at one of these pieces from the set and I can observe it. I can say, well, it feels really smooth on the dark parts, but it's really rough on the parts where the design has been cut out. I could smell it. It smells like cleaner. Thanks, COVID. I wouldn't taste this, but if it were something that was a food item, I could certainly taste it, right? I can talk about what's the weight of it in my hand. It feels much lighter than it looks like it would be. So that's really interesting, right? So all that I'm doing is bringing my attention just to one thing, using all of my 5 senses to experience that one item. That's what a grounding technique is. If you've ever heard that term and wondered what that means, that's exactly what it is. It's just a little exercise aimed at increasing your present moment awareness. So sometimes I'll suggest to my counseling clients that they use a wearable device or a phone alarm and set little reminders, maybe 6 to 10 times a day. Hey, do a grounding exercise. And when you get that reminder, you just latch on to something in your environment and notice it and pay attention to it and describe it to yourself. Over time, this helps to act as, a protective factor against that panic, against that fear of all of the what ifs and all of the unknowns. So I hope that this was helpful, and I sincerely hope that if you ever experience a panic attack, of course I know that's not a pleasant thing, but hopefully these tips will help you to know what to do to get through it. And until next time, take care.